Hello, and welcome to the routine in the quarantine with your host, Adam Glass, otherwise known as Captain.ARG. I want to just say that I'm actually looking for a new name for this podcast. I've been trying out a couple of different things. I asked around those who I'm quarantined with, my immediate family, and I asked them, what does all that jazz sound like to you? I actually I'm not too happy with it. But if it's good, it's just something that I say all the time. I always say, and all that jazz. I haven't really said it on my podcast yet, but it is definitely a saying that I'm known for. So I would love to hear your ideas on what I should name this podcast in the future, because I don't want it to always be routine in the quarantine. I don't always want to call it that. So I'm gonna try to find a different name for it. Someone mentioned something like stuck in the middle, or stuck at home, inside voices, grounded, any of those things. I guess that works. I want this to be a podcast that I can take further even after the whole Rona thing is over. So just let me know in the comments. Comment below what you think I should rename this podcast, and what it should be. So yeah, that's that. I actually have a couple of things to talk about because I have had some comments. I posted on Instagram, hey, give me some topics of what to talk about, or things like that. And people have actually given me some things to talk about. So I'm not going to go back to that website that I went to these past two podcasts. So I've actually got some topics. So, but before I get to that, I actually wanted to talk about, I had a thought last night, because I'm doing this podcast for fun. I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and I think that's how people get famous. I don't think anybody who's trying to get famous, I guess if they try hard enough they can do it, but what I mean is, I don't think anybody who's starting a podcast to be famous and doesn't actually enjoy it will actually get anywhere. For me, this is the first video series that I've done that I actually enjoy doing. I've done bad joke videos, I've done let's play videos, and I've always wanted to do Twitch streaming for games and stuff, movie reviews. I've done all of these things, and none of them have I really enjoyed because of the editing process. The editing process is just, I'm not an editor. If I could just make the videos, I think maybe I'd be okay. But see, I have to edit them too, and I'm not too great on editing. And podcasts are super easy. Oh my goodness. Wow. All I have to do is make a really long video and post it. That's it. I get to talk into the camera. There's no splicing. I mean, I do a little bit of editing, obviously, but I don't have to go through the whole video 50 billion times. I don't even have to watch it. I don't even have to watch this video. I can just talk about super random things, whatever comes to my mind, and then just post it. This is great. I actually really enjoy it. So, that being said, and I also get to just talk my heart out because for some reason I just like to talk. And I was like, podcast might be just the thing for me. And that got me thinking, what if, and I was talking to my nephew Charlie last night, I was like, what if, this whole thing just starts off as me doing something fun, and then I get super huge, a couple years later down the road, and suddenly I have a bajillion followers. It's that would be insane. I wouldn't know what to do with my life. Would that become my career? I don't know. Probably not. I want to join the Air Force. I want to go to the Air Force Academy. I'm currently in the process of doing that. So if I did this podcast through that, that would give me a good year of content. So hop on the bandwagon while you can, y'all, because just like Firefly, this is going to be one of those limited gyms. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. Also, when I was talking to Charlie, I was like, and then that made me think of something else that I did in my childhood, going back to my kids' times. There was, I don't know if y'all remember, there was a somewhat popular gaming console called the Nintendo Wii. I can't think of anyone that didn't have a Wii in their house. Even people who weren't gamers, for some reason they had a Wii. Sometimes they had two Wiis. Like us. Like we had two Wiis at one point, I think. No, we had a Wii and a Wii U. But I know some people had two Wiis. And then it would be called, what would you call that? A Wii Wii? Anyway, so there was these channels that you could get on the Wii. And Nintendo wasn't really super popular with the channels. It was just the games that they would come out with, like Mario and Metroid Prime, and Legend of Zelda. Those things made the Wii popular. And Wii Sports. Everybody played Wii Sports. Like there isn't one single person. There's not a single millennial who didn't play Wii Sports at some point. Because obviously oh no. I hate it when that happens. There was obviously there's the Gen Z, Generation Z. My generation played Wii, but those who might be a little younger than me may not have played the Wii. It's possible. The Wii U was their thing, and that's kind of disappointing and sad. And then you have the new kids, the little kids right now, who are playing the Switch, and that's a good console to have as your childhood console for sure, because I like the Switch a lot. But the Wii was definitely super, super popular, and there's a lot of people who played the Wii. But there was this one channel that nobody watched. No, there's this one channel on the Wii that nobody really used, and it was called the Nintendo Channel. Okay, and it was basically their news channel. It was all the Nintendo news would come through the Nintendo Channel, and I'm not sure if Nintendo Direct was done over that channel or not. I doubt it, but if it was, then that was the only reason people would use it. And I think I was bored one day. When I was a kid, there was absolutely nothing to do other than be homeschooled because I had no friends. So I watched the Nintendo Channel. I went on there, and there was something called, it had multiple shows in it. There were different news articles that you could read. There's different videos you could watch, trailers for indie games. Nintendo was really into Japanese indie games, which most of them weren't what I was into. I definitely didn't really care at all about most of the games that Nintendo released on their eShop, but they just did it anyway. So yeah, but there was one channel in the Nintendo Channel it was a show called Nintendo Week, and once a week they would post, I think it was every Tuesday, they would post this episode. It was an hour long, or 30 minutes, I don't know. But there was this main character called Gary. He was one of the anchors, and then there was this other girl, I forget her name. The only reason why I remember his name is because they had another character in their show called Dark Gary, and it was the same guy, except he would put on this soul patch and a black beanie, and he would be Dark Gary, and he would always try to ruin the show for them. It was so kiddie, but it was so Japanese. It was so Nintendo. Nintendo has always done cringy things for their trailers and videos that they made. It's for kids, but for some reason the adults love it too. They eat it up like a raccoon eats garbage. But it was for some reason it was fun for me to watch, and people never watched it. I don't think anybody has ever talked about Nintendo Week in my entire life. So I have a strong feeling I was the only person who watched it, and I watched it religiously. Every week I would watch that episode. I would actually look forward to it. And it was stupid. It was boring too. Oh, we have an interruption. Oh, my dog is here. Hello, Rocky. My sweet, sweet boy. Yes. Yes. I know, he requires attention. He requires a lot of attention, actually. So I'll probably be petting him while I talk now. But, anyway. Then, like, I watched it a lot, and there was at least one dedicated fan for that show, and that was me. And I am expecting to eventually have that one dedicated fan. Shout out to the 2 viewers. Actually, there were 3 viewers, at least. The 3 first viewers of my podcast yesterday. Madeline Sharp, Michael Wyndham, and Harvey Morrissey, which I will have on the show today. He's a guest star. I will be interviewing him shortly, and you will be able to see that in the YouTube video. I'm really excited to have a special guest star. But yes, those 3 people will probably be, for now, those dedicated fans who watch my podcast, even if nobody else watches it. Until one day, hopefully, unlike Nintendo Week, I will not be cancelled and I will become super famous, and there will be thousands of viewers. Rocky's sad that he gets to lay on my Tempur-Pedic bed. He looks really sad right now. He may whine throughout this entire podcast. I'm sorry. I really am. I can't get him to shut up. I will rip out your voice box. I'll rip it out with my bare hands, Mortal Kombat style. He's coming over here now. Okay, well, at least I have a ball for him. It's kind of gross. It's discolored. And it has hair on it. And he has slobbered on it many times and it's never been washed. I threw it for him. Anyways, so now I'm going to get to the topics that have been suggested for me. What was your first job like, and what was the weirdest / funniest thing that happened? Well, my first job was at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's for 2 years. When I was 16, it was actually 2 weeks after I turned 16, I got the job. And it was the first job I had ever interviewed for as well. Turns out McDonald's will hire just about anybody. It's true. I hadn't gotten the opportunity to apply for Chick-fil-A, but I wanted to apply for Chick-fil-A. I wanted to work there. And I have a feeling I probably would have got the job because I was much more suited for Chick-fil-A, but McDonald's snatched me up first. So, good job, you guys. I worked there for the first year as just a crew member. And the problem with it was that I sucked horribly. I was really, really bad. I was a horrible employee. Now, I guess I wasn't a horrible employee. I was a good employee, but I was really bad McDonald's crew member. Like, I didn't know anything about anything, and I never had a job before. And the most work experience I had ever had was volunteer service at like a Boy Scout event. So, you know, I wasn't really a hard worker other than school. I did work hard in school. But the main thing was that, it took me forever to learn anything. And that's because I'm a haptic learner. I have to see and do something. And when somebody tries to explain something to me, it just goes through one ear and out the other. So I would be explained, this is how you use the coffee machine. This is how you use the Frappuccino machine. This is how you use the fry machine. This is blah, blah, blah. They would explain it to me, and they wouldn't, guide me through practicing it. They would just kind of leave me to do it. And then I would just constantly ask the same questions over and over again. I felt like such an annoying kid. And of course, I was the youngest one there. And I would work the day shift, whereas most people my age would work the night shift because they had school during the day. But I was homeschooled, so I could decide what time of day I could do my school. So I would go in for the lunchtime, the breakfast and lunch. I would sometimes go in real early. But I was 16 and minor, and they couldn't work me too much. and I didn't want to do opening. Anyways, 6 months went by, and I was just sucked until I finally kind of got the hang of things. And the one thing that I had going for me was my smile. I was really happy. I was always on time. I would never cause problems except for asking questions like a lot, which is what honestly wasn't the big deal. I felt like it was a big deal, but if you ever go do a job and you feel like you're annoying because you ask lots of questions, suck it up because you need to ask those questions. It's better to be annoying and ask questions than to do a bad job and get fired. Okay? So just ask questions, be annoying until you do good, because I became a really good employee after about 6 months to a year while I was working there. And I was actually starting to get bored of the job because I was like, this is too easy now. And I was actually one of the better employees. I was always on time. I never really called in sick. I just did a really good job, and I was their best customer service. And I'm not bragging or anything. I just was. It's freaking McDonald's, guys. Okay, and I was constantly smiling. I was happy. I was good, and I was well spoken. I could talk to the customers. I got good regulars to get to know my name. I knew their name. I learned the customers' names, and I would remember what they would get so that I could order it for them without even them having to. There were a lot of regulars at McDonald's. A lot of old people like to go to McDonald's and get coffee with Splenda in it. And there was this weird thing that happened. Somebody got 20 shots of cream and actually, I think it was like 22 shots of cream and 23 shots of sugar. You know, each shot of sugar is like a sugar packet. It's like the same amount. So it was like freaking a ton of sugar. I don't even think the sugar would have dissolved enough. It probably had a ton of sugar at the bottom. It was a large coffee, but that's not big enough for that much sugar. Like, that's a freaking lot of sugar. So it was insane. And I made that coffee, and I was like, here's your sugar and cream add coffee, like, for real. I mean, but that's basically what a mocha is. A mocha is like a single shot of caramel, and it's mostly milk and chocolate. But anyways, yeah. So that was crazy. And then I became a manager after about a year, and being a manager at McDonald's kind of refreshed. You know, I was looking for another job, and then once I actually had to ask, I was like, hey, could I be a manager? And they were like, yeah, sure, okay. I was like, what? Like, is that easy? They're like, yeah, we'll start training you now. So it took a couple weeks, and then I finally got my shirt and my tie, and I didn't have to wear a hat anymore, so I wasn't going to go bald. And so, yeah, and it came with its all new problems. You know, I was expected to do more. I was all of a sudden thrown into really stressful situations, which actually made the job really fun. Suddenly I was in charge of a lot of people at certain times, and I could get whatever I wanted at lunchtime, which was really nice. I would get like frappuccinos and milkshakes and stuff. It was really good. And then later, you know, after about another year, I got bored and tired of it again, and I got really tired of my tie being dipped, like getting gross with grease and stuff. Like, I'd get grease stains from the fry vat for the French fries on it, and they never trained me on grill until the last 2 months that I worked there, which is really unheard of for somebody who works at McDonald's. Like, you're trained everywhere at McDonald's. But I guess they liked me on customer service so much that they only trained me on grill like the last 2 months. And it was funny because the craziest thing that happened to me there was, it was like I had already turned in my 30-day notice. That was another thing. Like, I was super professional there at McDonald's, and they don't experience that even from their most professional employees. And I asked my dad, who's a career counselor. You can watch my first podcast where I talked to him. And he was like, I was like, what should I do since I'm a manager? Like, how do I quit? Because I want to go do another job where I was offered a job to be an event lighting technician, and which I still work as today. And my dad was like, you have to do a 30-day notice because you're a manager, not just a regular employee. So I was like, fine, I'll do 30 more days of this crap. So I did a whole letter of resignation, and I gave them 30 days, and I put it in an envelope, and I handed it in. And then we had a conversation. They were like, what do we have to pay you to make you stay? And I was like, you can't. Oh, The banana was much better. I really miss my banana. But yeah. So I was like, you can't pay me enough to stay here. They couldn't pay me $15 an hour. There's no way. And I was gonna make $12.50 an hour, and I was like, the only way you can make me stay is if you match that, basically. And I didn't even give them the price. I was just like, you can't. I know you can't. They were only paying me $8.20 an hour. There was no way they were gonna give me a $4 raise. No way. So, yeah, so I left there. But the craziest thing that happened to me was they put me on grill the last month that I was there. And it was really funny because I was the only one there, and I had to work the night shift. Somebody had asked me to cover for them on a night shift, and I was like, fine. It was like the only time I had ever worked a night there in the 2 years that I worked there. And I was on grill all by myself because the grill person left, and the replacement, I had an hour. And it was a slow hour, but I had never really been by myself before. I barely knew what I was doing at all. I had very little grasp on how to do everything. And, they told me, it's like, hey, we need you to cover for an hour. It turned out being like an hour and a half because the person was like 30 minutes late. And I was like, I'm so glad I'm getting out of here. Yeah, it was crazy. Also, I had this employee, co-manager, who her name was, shout out to Melody. And she was so much fun to work with. She was my favorite person to work with. And, I actually had a lot of friends there, like a lot of great people that I worked with, but we had such weird personalities. And like we were all crazy and weird and goofy. And there was this guy named Christian, and we had this awesome relationship together where we would just like roast each other horribly all the time. And there was this one time, and she actually filmed it. Melody filmed it. She was in the back window at McDonald's in the drive-thru, and I was like somewhere between the windows, and I was like pulling out pies or something out of the oven. And she was like, "What are they selling?" And I was like, "Chocolate." And then she just died laughing. Like, she died. And she filmed it. And it was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. And she sent me the video, like, last year. And I was like, hey, remember this from, like, 5 years ago? I was like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Actually, it's more like 4 years. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I had fun with those employees. I remember going to see Power Rangers with those guys, and if they're all friends on Facebook, so they could be seeing this podcast. So shout out to all of you McDonald's guys that I used to work with. You're the only thing that I miss about that job, except maybe customer service, in all honesty. So I have a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna real quick answer another thing here. If you could restart 2020, what would you change, and how would that impact the rest of the world? Wow. I don't know if I would change a single smurfin' thing. I'm not gonna lie, 2020 has been amazing for me. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, 2020 is the worst. It's like, I see so many memes about 2020 being horrible, and it really is. Like, I mean, we've had World War III memes, the World War III meme. We had coronavirus, obviously. We had, oh my gosh, horrible things in 2020. Like, what has been going on in 2020? Horrible, no, stop. Things in 2020. I can't remember. I mean, there's been some good things. Oh yeah, like Australia was on fire. There's been like locust swarms in Africa. There was a giant storm in Egypt that flooded it like a hurricane. They called it the Dragon Storm. Kobe Bryant died. Okay. Just lots of bad stuff. But for me personally, it's been a great year because every day since January 1st, I have made my bed. That is a huge step for me. I have made my bed with hospital corners and the cuff and everything. I even make my pillow smile every day. It's like that right now. My bed is made. I've kept my room clean and my car clean all year so far. Crazy. I've kept up with school until recently with the whole Rona thing. I have worked out, if not every day, every other day until last week, or it was 2, 3 weeks ago when I went on vacation, and so far my workouts have been spotty, but I have been working out at least 3 times a week since my vacation, and every other day, if not every day, since January 1st. And I have seen major improvements in my strength and my cardio. I ran a 5K this week, for the first time in my life, and I could have gone further. Yeah, my baby cows, my calves, my baby cows were screaming for a long time after that. It was pretty intense, not gonna lie. Okay, so honestly, I don't think I would change anything in 2020. Okay, next one. Talk about what you think is the most logical means of transportation. I guess that depends on the scope of transportation. Okay. That is like, honestly, who asked me that? Okay. Here's the problem with that question. Are you transporting yourself or something else? If we're talking about yourself. Okay, let's just say you're transporting yourself, not your family, not anything else. Are you transporting yourself from your bedroom to your kitchen? Are you transporting yourself to your neighbor's house? Are you transporting yourself down the road? Are you transporting yourself to Poop Island in Taiwan? I don't know. I mean, where are you going? What do you mean? Most logical to where? If you're talking about around the city, probably subway. Okay, in New York City, you gotta take the metro everywhere. Taxis suck. You don't know where they've been. Talk about the Rona. You get worse than the Rona. Ever heard of taxi beef jerky? They just sit on it for 6 weeks. And it becomes beef jerky. Yeah, so, taxi driver, yeah. So take the metro, even though it's super gross, too. You know, you don't actually have to touch anything. But it is the most efficient and cheap way to travel in New York City and Washington, D.C. So big cities, metro. Okay, country, a car. A car with good gas mileage. You know, a place like Lynchburg, where it's kind of like a small town / city, you know, maybe a motorcycle would be the most efficient way to get around here, because everything is 15 minutes away, and there's a lot of traffic here, so having that kind of gas mileage would be really nice. But like if you're going cross country, you'd have to fly. You know, that's the most efficient and logical way to travel, is flying, or to go across the world, to fly. Taking a boat is only fun if you're like on a cruise or something. Or if you're doing a ferry across a river, then the boat is the most logical. And if it's free. So it all depends on where you're going and how much it will cost. And, you know, are you going to your kitchen? I'm going to take my car from my bedroom to my kitchen to get something out of the fridge at 3 a.m. I don't think you'd have much of a house after that. Okay, so those are all the responses that I got for now. And I've talked about everything I want to talk about for now. Thank you so much. We're gonna go on to our guest now. And we're gonna have a good conversation. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the routine in the quarantine. I am your host, Adam Glass, and I am joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Harvey Morrissey. Say hello.
Hi, I'm
Wonderful.
Harvey.
He's pouring water. I love that. Okay. people who are watching this probably already know you because you're a pretty popular guy, believe it or not.
Oh,
Um,
really?
well, amongst my group of friends,
Oh,
and
okay.
the thing is, but some people like if there's going to be thousands of viewers later,
Hmm. Oh,
um,
yeah.
who want to come back and watch this interview for just poops and giggles, they want to know who you are. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 16-year-old male. I lived in Virginia. I currently live in Florida. Uh, I've moved a lot in my life. The way we met was through Civil Air Patrol, and I actually have my beautiful. I thought this was like a Saturday
Oh
Night
yes.
Live sort of thing, so I got myself a mug, and actually I have one for you as well. So here you go.
Wow,
There
I
you
love
are.
that. Wow. Thank you
Take it.
so
There you go.
much.
Yeah,
I will.
passing it
Yep.
to you virtually.
Thank
Oh,
you so much.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we
Strange
can.
when it goes through the virtualness, it turns
I know
into a Star Wars cup.
that's amazing. Actually, I have the
Isn't
same
that
one.
weird? That you do. That's
Yeah,
very impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So that's pretty decent. Thank you so much. It's
yeah, no
very
problem.
filled with dust. There's
Oh,
quite a lot of dust in there. I can't believe you would have given me a cup that
I have
dirty.
mine, so
You're very rude, sir.
I know.
Um,
But anyway, yeah, no. Civil Air Patrol is how we met.
yeah, it is. And here's the funny thing about that. I remember hanging out with you at Wilmington in
Yeah,
North Carolina, and we're going to talk about that for sure.
were we in
But
encampment together?
say what?
Were we in encampment together?
See, that's the thing. I'm having a hard time. Our friendship. I feel like you are like a dream. Now,
I
please
know.
allow me. Allow me to explain. When you're in a dream, when you fall asleep and you're in a dream, you're suddenly like there. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah.
so like and so like it's like suddenly you're like on a train with a bunch of zombies, or I just watched Train to Busan last night, so that's why I came up with that. Um, and and so like I feel like you suddenly were just there in my life, and it was like as if we knew each other for a long time, and then you were just there. So do you possibly like remember when we met?
I think it was encampment. Honestly, did you go to the 2017 encampment? Like was that your basic year?
Yes, that was my basic year.
Okay, and it was mine too, and we were in the same wing, so I assume we went to the same. I think. What flight were you in?
I was in was it Echo Flight? I was in
I was
Echo Flight,
Oscar.
Squadron
So
2.
wait, what squadron were you in? Four.
Squadron 2. I was in Squadron 2.
I was off there. No.
No, you were on
Yeah,
the other side of encampment.
I was in 5 with John. So he was our squadron commander, John Sharp.
Oh,
Yeah, it
got you.
explains things now. So, but yeah,
That
no,
explains
but yeah,
quite a bit.
I'm sure we met one point or another during encampment.
Okay,
Probably didn't like talk
right.
or anything, but I think that's
Okay.
how it started. And I
Yeah,
think
and
we
then
saw each
you
other at
became
different
like
events.
you were like a fellow meme lord.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely. That's how I've grown to be a cadet. I just did memes
Oh, I
online.
see. Do you have any funny stories?
The secret to
Because
success.
like a lot of people who might watch this won't know what Civil Air Patrol is. Rocky, shut up. Um, a lot of people who may not watch this might not know what Civil Air Patrol is. Could you explain a little bit about encampment, and then also like, are there any funny stories at any of the encampments you went to while you were here in Virginia?
Yeah, sure. So I actually think I only went to one. I went to my basic here. So Civil Air Patrol is the United States Air Force Auxiliary, yeah, Air Force Auxiliary, and there's a cadet program to it for 12 to 21-year-olds, and they're called cadets. That's what. Are you still a cadet, Adam? I don't think you are you?
No, I am 21, so I
Oh,
thankfully aged out.
okay. Well, yeah. No, I'm 16, so I'm still
You're
still
still in
in
the
it.
thick of it.
Proven. Boy, I'm still in the thick of it. I'm the cadet commander for Gainesville Squadron here. It's Gainesville is like about 45 minutes from here.
No
But
kidding. That's awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations
yeah,
on your
I
position.
know. So Thank you very much, sir. No, so basically it's just a training program, sort of similar to like JROTC or stuff like that for school, but it's part of the total force of the Air Force. It's pretty cool. We have some missions that we can do. Our missions are emergency services, aerospace education type programs. We learn how to do drill and ceremonies. We get to fly for free occasionally for like stuff. We get to be trained to do flight, and then we also do emergency services stuff like ground team. I do a lot of ground team stuff where we go down aircraft or missing people. We work with other agencies like police force, fire agencies, and the Air Force, obviously, on their coordination centers. But that's Civil Air Patrol basically in a wrap. But the program side, obviously, is where me and Adam sort of thrive because we were cadets. Encampment, a week-long training program. They base it sort of similarly camp for the military, but very much dumbed down. But I think it's kind of like has the same idea to basically train you to be a cadet. But basically, it's a week-long thing, and we did ours at Pickett. It was an army place, and pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to say it was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that I miss. What I miss the most is the people.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of really, really cool people in Civil Air Patrol, and a lot of them are young, like 14, 16, 18. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really cool adult leaders too. Like I met some of my best mentors through Civil Air Patrol, but like the most fantastic, and the senior members will agree with me, are the most fantastic and outstanding people that you'll meet are the cadets. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ones.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, and Cap was a great chapter in my life. And what is your rank, good sir?
I am currently a cadet captain, but I'll be a major here pretty soon.
Wonderful. I was cadet commander of the Lynchburg Squadron for about 8 months while I was a first lieutenant and a cadet captain as well. And I remember encampment. I did encampment last year, and the last day was like a week before my birthday, like 8 days. Yeah. And so it was the last thing that I did in Civil Air Patrol was be a squadron commander at encampment. And everybody was like, hey, be a senior member. And I was like, nah.
Don't go to the dark side.
I think what I'm gonna do is go start a podcast instead. I was
I
like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go lock myself in my house.
I mean, the Cap was cool though because like for me it was really cool because I was really young. I was like 12 or 13, and you guys were all like 17, 18, 19, and like the cool part is like everyone's so humble in it, and like I was just a scrawny little wimpy kid, and you guys were like, hey, you want to hang out? And at Wilmington, and like we'll talk about later, I'm sure, but like stuff like that where we got to just hang out and didn't really matter. Like sometimes the age matters with the maturity of some kids, but like you guys were like, hey, yo, you want to come on over? Like it's everyone's friends,
It was weird because my personality, I'm very goofy, and I can, I don't think acting immature is the same thing as being immature. I think being mature means when to have fun and when not to have fun. And so there was a lot of cadets there who, they would act mature a lot, but like they didn't really know when to have fun, So when I was being goofy, I felt like I was like a 10-year-old around all of the 14-year-olds, and I was like, you guys need to lighten up just a little bit. So I mean, like, for example, so there were times when go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, for example, like John Sharp. I mean, he was my squadron commander, and he's kind of like, I think when I went to encampment, that was really cool, and that's why I like doing encampment, or that's why I like doing Civil Air Patrol for a long time. But he was like, like he's kind of like what you're talking about. Like he was older, obviously. I mean, he was our squadron commander and whatever, but he had a certain level of professionalism, but he was also kind of goofy and made it like fun, it wasn't like
you got to have that, and that was one of the reasons why they actually had me be the cadet commander at Lynchburg Squadron. One of the reasons was because they're like, you're outspoken, you can kind of teach some people to relax a little bit. And I was like, well, maybe, hopefully it rubs off. But it did kind of feel funny because I went to the gala for the Civil Air Patrol, Lynchburg Cat Gala, where they do this dine-in. And if
Yeah.
you're not into Air Force, for those of you viewers who are not into the Air Force culture, there is like this special like dinner that they do where they clap with spoons and they over dramatic, they're over dramatic about everything, and it's fantastic. Um, but I went and I felt like such a child surrounded by these people, because I was just laughing and goofing around, and but I could also tell like they couldn't tell, like I stopped when things got serious. I was like serious, but they wouldn't
Yeah.
stop being goofy, and I was like, well, see, there's your thing. You gotta learn when to be mature and when to goof off.
Definitely. I mean, I get that, and like, you see that a lot, and I think that there's a difference. I know this is a little off topic, but there's like such a difference between the different wings. Like you have Virginia wing, like we're talking.
Virginia wing is obviously the best,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously.
No, I agree 100% because like I don't know if it's like because I just have a bunch of friends there after doing CAP for like 2.5 years, something like that, while I lived there. I actually started in North Carolina wing. That's where I started as a cadet, and I transferred to Virginia when we moved. But that's where I like had all my cool stuff happen, you know. But like and I was part of Newport News Composite Squadron. Newport News is the best. No, I like Lynchburg a lot though. They have really good people, but like the people in Virginia Wing are just really, really nice, and they were all really easy to talk to. And I guess I just found a lot of friends after being in there for so long of a time. But I think I've been here for like a year and a half now in Florida, and I've gone to some of the events here, and I met a couple of cadets. There's some really cool cadets, and they're very all professional. Like they're very there's not a lot of I guess humor like you know
Oh
what I mean
yes,
as we used to have and we were
yeah,
just kind of like there was like a line obviously between having fun and
right,
being
right.
serious. These guys are very all serious, and I think the thing is like a lot of them are very big on like cadet competition and color guard and drill and ceremonies and stuff like that. And I did some of that, and I've attempted to do it, and I do all right with it. And I have a team, and we've built up, and we're probably going to go next year to the competition. But I mean, they with that training, they've all become just so serious, and it's just kind of hard to have like, and like I'm
Yeah,
not going to encampment here, and so I don't have a whole lot of like cadet friends throughout the wing as I did in Virginia. But it is what it is. You know, you meet people as you go along. But
totally. Yes, I hear you. Well, unfortunately, I don't have too much space on my computer, and I'm afraid this video might completely
too
destroy
long,
my hard drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up
definitely.
soon. But I do want to ask you. I heard you talked about that you're working on a podcast of your own. Is that correct?
Hmm. Yeah, so well, it's not of my own. I knew I mentioned it to you when we were talking Messenger. Basically, what it is I'm also a Sea Scout. I'm a quartermaster, which is like an Eagle Scout, like in Boy Scouts of America. But it's like Sea Scouting is it's
Oh,
the
that's
water.
Scouts of America, good sir.
Yeah, yeah, or yeah, Scouts BSA. But it's what it's called. And they basically I am working with I'm newly working with the National Quarter Deck on working on a podcast for Sea Scouts. And it's gonna be called The Lookouts. And we're gonna just talk about some fun stories and stuff. And hopefully that will be up and running pretty soon. But it's not just me. It's like a whole team of people working on it. And
Okay.
that'll be pretty cool.
Well,
So,
that is really cool. If somebody wants to find that podcast, how would they do that?
we're not 100% sure yet, but it will be on cscout.org when we do get it up and running. Like they'll be loaded up on there and probably the Sea Scout YouTube page.
Okay.
You can just look up Sea Scout on any of those and you'll find our pages.
And so that's cscout.org, the lookout, right?
Yeah, Scouts, I think is what it's called.
The
The look.
lookouts. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, super fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Morrissey, for coming on
Yeah,
my show
thank you
and
very much.
blessing me with your celebrity-like presence.
Oh,
When is there Is there any last little tidbit that you want to give my thousands of viewers?
hmm. The hundreds and millions of people that are watching this.
That's a little over. Never mind. Go ahead.
Uh, I just say if you are in any youth program, stick with it. I'm only 16. I'm gonna turn 17 in July, and I've accomplished some cool stuff while we're in the program. And you not only get to do that, but you get to meet cool people. And yeah, just like this, make friends because we obviously live in different states now, and if we hadn't been in the programs together and just kind of connected and whatever, and we wouldn't probably be talking right now. So I mean, it's all good stuff, and I think you'll have friendships throughout your rest of your life. And a mentor of mine, and like you said, Adam, we make really good mentors in these programs. But a mentor of mine that's in Sea Scouting and Norfolk Council here, when I got my quartermaster award, he wasn't able to be there, but he sent me a video and he said to me, make sure to not hold on to things. Like when you're in these programs, you get cool things, you get like hats, you get shirts and stuff, but don't hold on to things. Make really good memories and friends. Like that's what's really going to hold on throughout your whole life. So,
Amen, brother.
yeah.
That is gold right there. Well,
Cool
thank you
stuff.
so much. I hope to have you on the show again,
Hey,
and
anytime,
maybe
Adam.
we can share some memes
I will.
over the podcast. What do you say? You want to do a meme review with me one of
I
these days?
meme review. Yeah, I'll do it with you, man. And
Okay,
I'll mail you one of these.
I will require that if you're
Yeah.
going to be on my show again.
Yeah.
I will
Whenever
need
we do
the Civil Air
yeah,
Patrol mug right here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. All right, man.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I
All
hope you
right.
have a wonderful day.